Here to discuss this, the testimony yesterday of Robert Mueller, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's just a highlight. That is just a little bit of the best hits, the greatest hits from yesterday. What was your impression after watching what happened yesterday?
Well, it's pretty clear he is not familiar with the Mueller report, so he really can't be calling it the Mueller report anymore. But on the other hand, I'm not surprised in the sense this was all a scam to begin with. They all knew there was no collusion. They were fishing around and going after these individuals with what I consider to be low-rent prosecutions for federal prosecutors to be pursuing. And the Mueller report itself was 450 pages of them talking about trying to get around some truths they didn't want to have to admit as directly as President Trump, I think, fairly demanded that they admit there was no collusion and no obstruction. So therefore, his testimony about this scam comes off poorly. And of course, there are now questions about the basic competency of Mr. Mueller and how it is the Justice Department allowed someone evidently really not interested in doing his work, whether on purpose or because of physical limitations, to run this sensitive investigation. We hired Mueller, and it all depended on Mueller, his probity, his ethics, his reputation. And it turns out he was an absentee landlord when it came to his own investigation. It's pretty clear based on his own testimony.
But the bare minimum that someone would have to do in a supervisory role is to hire a competent team. And yesterday it was exposed in glaring detail that he never even considered the political contributions and activities of the people he hired by his own admission. Now, that you could say maybe he's just straight up lying. He hired a bunch of Democrats in order to be hacked.
He didn't do the hiring. We have the documents. Judicial Watch just got the documents, I think 6 weeks ago. Andrew Weissman was doing the hiring. And of course, magically, that's how all the Democrats got hired. All the Clinton supporters got hired. Andrew Weissman was the deputy there. And look, you talk to the lawyers who were dealing with the special counsel's office. Ask them if they talked to Robert Mueller. He was this mysterious figure in the background.
Yeah.
He rarely showed up. This was a partisan, deep state-driven investigation by current and former Justice Department employees who wanted to get Trump. And there was good reason Mr. Mueller didn't want to testify because he wasn't sure what they had done.
Well,
it's pretty clear.
Why would Robert Mueller allow this? Why would Robert Mueller allow himself to be used as the face of this investigation and then sit back and know that down the road, somewhere along the line, he may very well be called and have to testify, and now his reputation is going to be ruined? Why would he allow that? Did he get paid a good amount of money?
He's an anti-Trumper. That's the simplest explanation.
So he wants his
he didn't. For that? For all of his, was Robert Mueller competent and, is he facing dementia or whatever? No, I don't buy that. There are a few questions where he was off, but, I'm doing a morning radio program. I'm quite sympathetic to that. But the fact is, he played games about what his testimony would be and what it would not be on. And the idea that the dossier was some alien concept to the entire investigation that was outside his purview and couldn't be testified on, that's a man to me who doesn't want to talk about the corrupt core of his investigation. And certainly when it's mentioned in his report, he calls it the unverified dossier. That blows the whole thing out of the water.
You remember after Bill Barr gave his statement, then you had a letter that was sent to Barr by Mueller that came out. And remember, Barr objected. He's like, why did you send me a letter? Why did you send me a letter to memorialize your thoughts? Why didn't you just call me?
Yeah.
Think about this now in retrospect.
Yeah.
There's a reason. He didn't write the letter. You had Louis Gohmert basically make the accusation yesterday about all of this. Like, I knew you didn't even write your statement, the public statement that he gave, the short-form public statement that he gave in the press briefing.
Yeah.
When he makes this statement, he was asked by Louis Gohmert, who wrote that statement? Did you write that statement? He's like, I'm not going to get into that. That's okay. You just gave me the answer. You didn't write that statement.
Well, and Attorney General Barr has essentially said the same thing. He always considered that statement and the nasty letter he got is, quote, staff-driven. We all know this is an Andrew Weissman anti-Trump investigation, and Mueller needs to be held accountable because he went along for the ride. He saw what was going on. But we know about Mueller. I recall Mueller getting all of these FBI
Right.
or the IRS records from Lois Lerner's IRS in an effort to try to figure out ways to prosecute the groups the Obama IRS was targeting. Oh, surprise, surprise! He's happy to help the deep state take out President Trump. And I'm glad it was exposed for what it was, because we've all known this to be the case.
I'd like to see something happen, though. That's the next part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We've got more coming up with Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. It is now 7:43 on WMAL. Watch, Tom, we're talking about the Mueller testimony yesterday. Democrats were hoping to be able to get enough here to move forward with impeachment, the I word. Have their hopes been dashed, or are they going to forge ahead?
Well, I don't think they were actually depending on Mueller to testify in any way that would help them. They just wanted him to show up, create the circus atmosphere. They're going to spin it the way they want to spin it and make the political decision to move forward. You see these Democratic candidates, they're still calling for impeachment. They've got this theory of obstruction, that we're going to accuse the president of obstruction, and he's guilty until proven innocent. So that's the Alice in Wonderland approach. And if Mueller's investigation was competent, he would actually have questioned some of the Democrats who were questioning him about their collusion and involvement with the Russians in targeting Trump.
Yeah.
But the corruption of the Mueller investigation was highlighted by his admission or his refusal to discuss the fact he didn't investigate Russia's collaboration with Hillary Clinton and the FBI to target President Trump.
I mean, look, in summary here, the reality is the special counsel exists. The whole reason we would have a special counsel at all is to instill confidence in the American public that justice was done. It's meant to carve out something special to make sure people know that we have confidence in the justice system. And instead, what we got, and it culminated in yesterday's hearing, is less confidence in our system. It diminished confidence in our system. I don't know how anybody who claims to have the dignity that Mueller has, or that has been conveyed on him by the public, can think that was good yesterday for confidence in our justice system.
Well, I feel vindicated because I've been calling on it to be shut down from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was a politicized investigation. They had no business investigating the president over decisions the president makes about hiring and firing. I mean, the standard is that every hiring decision or discussion about whether to prosecute or maybe I should let this guy go, whatever, that's the subject of an obstruction investigation by the Justice Department, a lying prosecutor in the Justice Department. We're talking about district court judges overruling and making policy for the whole government with attacks on Trump. Now we get to have prosecutors deciding whether or not their supervisors and the President of the United States made the right decision, and they're going to initiate an harassing criminal obstruction of justice investigation. Boy, we've got to take a step back from that overthrow of our Republican form of government.